here we are, and you are listening to the Top 5 podcast, which is to say the most fabulous and fantastic Top 5 podcast, because your hosts are myself, Kris McPeak, and my absolutely gorgeous younger sister, Annie Pruitt. Hello, Annie Pruitt.
Hello.
And who is that good-looking person? That looks like Emily Pruitt, who has not been on the show in ages.
I know.
That's because she's a college student now.
I'm fixing her spelling. Yes. She's fixing
How are we liking our classes there, Em?
Very good. I've got at least 2 film classes, so I'm excited for those, see how they go down.
Good. And how are our grades for fall 2023?
All good. 3.85 GPA.
Good girl. Oh, I'm proud of you. Auntie Kris is very proud of you.
So I try to give her the high five. She gives me the fist bump. I give her a fist bump.
And she gives you a high five. She looks like a college student. Look at the hair. I'm loving it. Sorry, we're totally top 5 podcast people. I'm sorry. I have not seen my niece's face in quite some time. And she's a college student now and doing her thing. So much so she's correcting her mother's spelling. Like, I don't know what's up with that, but okay.
No, it is what it is.
Okay, so Annie, we have been rolling through this fantastic new series that you came up with that we call The Professionals.
Yes, The Professionals, the career series, or just so we've done teachers and specifically high school teachers, and we've done teachers, and obviously the next obvious choice is doctors.
It's so obvious.
Yes. Now, let me acknowledge right now. So you cheated with
I exaggerated.
You went television, and so Emily and I want to go television. We want to do TV doctors as a separate series. Okay.
I am down with that. I will make that work. I will make that. Okay. So as we chat, I think maybe I can make some alterations. But we'll see how that rolls. Okay. No problemo.
Yes. So this time I will go first.
Okay, I will allow you to.
Okay. Ready. Okay. So my number 5, and this one is very excited about this. Yes. Would be Dr. Frankenstein, played by Gene Wilder from the movie Young Frankenstein. So, if you've never seen this film, I don't
know why this wasn't totally obvious for me, but hello.
One of the greatest comedies of all time. And is it Mel Brooks? Help me out. Mel Brooks. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks' best movie ever. So Gene Wilder playing the very, very young Dr. Frankenstein. The ancestor of Dr. Frankenstein. Of Dr. Frankenstein. Yes. But he prefers to have it pronounced Frankenstein. Yes. And of course he has his little side Igor. I thought it was Igor. Well, they were wrong.
Weren't they?
Yeah. So absolutely one of the greatest comedies of all time. And do you want to chime in on this?
Oh, yeah. When I wrote one act for my senior written and produced one act, I based it off of Young Frankenstein with naming my characters.
Yeah.
So the main character was named Igor Frankenstein.
Yes.
I love it.
And she worked the line of hearts and kidneys are tinker toys in the script.
Talking about the central nervous system.
Talking about life. Okay. So anyway, my number 5 favorite doctor on screen, Dr. Frankenstein, played by Gene Wilder in Young Frankenstein.
Beautimous. I love it. Okay, I have to flip back over here to my list. And then wait, all right, hang on 1 second. I got to take a pause.
Okay.
I got to put your list here in the mix. And number 5 from Annie is Dr. Frankenstein. Young. Okay.
My name is Frankenstein. Sorry.
Would you like to go for a roll in the hay? It's fun. Okay. I am going to go with Doctors Elliot and Beverly Mantle from the fantastically creepy David Cronenberg film called Dead Ringers, which was also turned into a television series on Amazon featuring Rachel Weisz in that role. But these particular characters in the David Cronenberg film were played by Jeremy Irons, and holy crap on a cracker, is this like these are two of the creepiest doctors of all time ever. What kind of doctor are they? Well, I'm gonna tell you, they're gynecologists. Hello. And they come up with some pretty friggin' weird gynecological tools, and there's a love interest involved. But here's the other thing that's so crazy about these two doctors. They're twins. And so there's a like love thing going on where the one doctor goes and sleeps with the chick, and then the other one goes out and is with the chick, and it's back and forth, and it's crazy. It is quintessential David Cronenberg for all the right reasons. So while this is not like a nice doctor or a helpful doctor or even a cute doctor, it is a very memorable doctor, and hence is on my list. So there you go.
Okay, so absolutely 100% agree. I have not seen that movie. And as much as I love David Cronenberg, thank you, Jeff Goldblum, The Fly, greatest like remake, one of the greatest remakes of all time. But
amen to that.
Because there's part of me, it's like, it's about gynecologists. I don't know if I want to see it, but now I have to. Now I have to see it.
It is pretty, it is quintessential Cronenberg.
Yes.
And this is what I would recommend that you do. I would recommend that you watch the Cronenberg movie and then check out the Amazon series with Rachel Weisz, because it is a very interesting kind of back and forth, if you will.
So I will do that. All right. So my number 4 is also Emily approved and very much off the beaten path from a cult classic film. This would be Dr. Herbert West from the movie Reanimator, played by
yes, of course,
Jeffrey Combs. So a very like our favorite like horror movie that's so bad it's great became cult classic great. Yes. And probably the greatest decapitated head on screen of all time. So Dr. Herbert West develops a serum that reanimates life based on thank you. I'm sorry.
1920s H.P. Lovecraft.
Based on H.P. Lovecraft. Yes.
Oh, Lovecraft. Yes. There is a whole documentary about the Lovecraft thing with Guillermo del Toro that I have not watched yet, but I'm highly intrigued by.
Okay.
I know so much about Reanimator. I can give you my top 5 Reanimator facts.
Yes. I want to say that you covered the Reanimator in another show that we did, although I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yes. But he is, in terms of a doctor on screen that absolutely is 100% memorable. Jeffrey Combs is one of those actors that can pull off insane, intriguing, a little bit sexy, because he's mad enough to be a little bit sexy. So yeah, that's Reanimator for us. Yeah. So that's why he's my Emily just happens to agree with me. He's my number 4.
He's my number 1 if I were to be doing this.
Yeah. So there you go.
Okay, I love it.
Dr. Herbert West.
Herbert West. Okay, wait a second, because I got to go put that on the list. Herbert West. That's the name of the doctor, or that's the name of the actor?
That's the name.
West
Herbert West is the character.
Okay.
Jeff is the actor.
Okay. But I could Google anyway. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you. Yes, all the way. And embarrassingly, I've never seen that movie.
That's okay. It's a cult classic. It's kind of what's the word?
It is a plot point. It is a plot point in American Beauty. Okay. So I get points for that. I do.
I hate, but yes, go forth and do great things.
Where can I watch it? Is it on Amazon Prime? Okay, never mind. I'm going to go to my number 4.
Yes, let's hear you number 4.
My number 4 is going to be Dr. Don Francis as portrayed by Matthew Modine in the HBO movie And the Band Played On, which is far and away my very favorite movie about, this is the wrong way to say this. It is a movie I respect very heavily regarding the AIDS epidemic in the early 80s when all of this stuff was first coming to light. And other than Vision Quest, this is Matthew Modine's absolute greatest performance ever. He is an idealistic doctor who is trying to get to the bottom of this new, they were still calling it the gay virus back in the day. And all he wants to do is find a cure, find some way to pinpoint what is going on in people's bodies with this virus. And he is struggling with the assholes in medical whatever who are more encouraged by, like, I need to get the big points for this and publishing and doing my research, and as opposed to, why would you get in bed with the French? Like, why are you working with the French to find a cure? This is our research, blah, blah, blah. It's a fantastic movie. It's a hard movie to watch, but if you want to really know, and I think this is very much a Gen X movie as opposed to a millennial or a Gen Z movie, because this is a part of history that we were, in our adolescence and or early college, when everything was a big deal going on with HIV and AIDS. And I love this movie because it's very uplifting, although it was a rough time. It was very, very hard to be a doctor trying to find, what is going on here with this virus and why is it such a big deal? And Matthew Modine brings that passion to the screen, to the TV screen, regardless. But he is such a committed physician in this film. And I love this movie. So yeah, there you go. Don Francis, Matthew Modine.
He is what we watched that together. I remember watching watched it in your, because that came out in
like 91, 92.
So yeah, it came out in 93. And so we were in your room when you were the residence hall director.
I was at Holcomb?
You were at the honors dorm.
Okay. So we rented it on the good VHS. Yeah. Good time. Yes.
So number one, I fell in love with Charles Martin Smith in that movie because his whole, let me get a big meatloaf and a couple of pickles. Yeah. That was one of our favorite lines. But I go back now and I look at, when you look at the cast of this movie, it's unbelievable, down to like Swoosie Kurtz has a tiny part. Phil Collins and Richard Gere, Steve Martin have tiny parts. Angelica Houston, tiny parts in this. Oh my
gosh, this is so full of B.D. Wong, before anybody cared who B.D. Wong was. Yes. B.D. Wong was on Law and Order, and then he was on Oz. He's Ian McKellen's lover. It's so cute.
Yes. So yeah, what a great film. But like the idea that, when you're trying to trace this virus back to ground zero, to where it originated, and that's, basically what they were trying to do, to come up with, if you can find out where it came from, you can develop a cure for it. So yeah, what a great film. I fucking love Matthew Modine. He's fantastic. 100%. So I approve this message.
Okay. Fantastic. How many dead hemophiliacs does it take? Give us a number so we don't annoy you. I mean, like that cracks into my chest. Like I feel his pain in my whole body when he says
that. Yes.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. Okay. Number 3 to you, my dear.
So my number 3 is going to be it's going to be a cross between movie to television, because the television show was based on the movie, right?
Okay.
So I got to go the doctor of Dr. Hawkeye Pierce. So in the film MASH, played by Donald Sutherland, and then in the television show, played by Alan Alda. So on screen, this doctor who is drafted into the Korean War to be a surgeon to patch up these war-torn combat, soldiers who have been blown apart by warfare. And it's anti-war, like,
yes, very much so.
But also it's also very patriotic, because these people are trying to save our sons and daughters who have been injured in the line of duty. So what they're doing is remarkable and heroic. So, but it's also a comedy, and the comedic factor for what Donald Sutherland does in the film and what Alan Alda does on the TV show is bring both there's comedy in everything that we do, in every profession, in every, what's the word I'm looking for? In every walk of life. If you can't comedic element, then why bother? But they're both so hilarious, both funny, and there's times when they're ridiculously funny, but also there's times when they're very, very poignant, and they make very, very critical points about life and humanity, and it's touching, and it's hysterical, and it's quite frankly, I'm kind of mad at myself for not putting
it higher.
Versus number 1. Yes, but so I'm not going to get mushy. Okay, my number 3, Dr. Hawkeye Pierce.
I love it. Fantastic. Yes. And, Robert Altman, the king of the ensemble drama,
yes,
who directed that film. Like, that was a very early movie for him. But yeah, it's the dry comedy. It's that kind of funky, like, why am I laughing at this again? And that whole movie is just filled with great classic characters. And if we could go down the rabbit hole of how many movies to television exist where a character from the movie also played the same character in the TV show, because what is it? Radar O'Reilly. Yeah.
Yes.
Same guy in both movie and television show. And that's just not something that you see every day. So anyway, okay.
He's probably our favorite character, because
Radar.
Yes. Oh my God.
That is a great movie, and it was a great show. If you go back and Google, most popular series finales of all time, MASH is definitely in that mix.
Oh yes.
Okay, so my number 3, and I'm going to segue this into the whole, movie thing, because this character originated in television, but I keep, cheating and breaking rules. But regardless, I'm going with Dr. Bones McCoy in Star Trek. And in particular, I'm thinking Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, because that is the Star Trek film that I have seen the most. I think our whole family. It is the best Star Trek movie that has been brought to the screen, featuring the original cast. What can I say about Bones? He likes to pick on Mr. Spock. He and Captain Kirk are best friends, and he's sarcastic and sassy, but he's a good doctor. He gets the shit done. And even in the reboot, Carl Urban playing this role, he's a great doctor, and he takes care of everything, and he's not a racist.
Why, you blue-blooded
inhuman. Let me raise my eyebrows.
So Bones was one of my potentials, and because you have him on your list, I won't put him on mine, because I fucking love Bones, and both Forrest Kelly and Carl Urban played that doctor fantastic. I mean, they were both 100%. They were grumpy old men. I don't care how young they were when they started. They embraced the embodiment. They embodied being a grumpy old man.
That is so true. That is so true. I love it.
Carl Urban must have watched every TV show and movie with DeForest Kelley like 12 times to really, because he 100% captured the essence of what it was to be Bones.
Yes.
So
I could not agree more.
Yes. So very, very good choice. And he was on my list. And now I will have to shift and shuffle my options here.
That is okay.
That is okay.
No problemo.
All right. So I'm going to go with my number 2 now is going to be Dr. Richard Kimball from The Fugitive, played by Harrison Ford, which you don't ever see him do anything as a doctor. However, it is Dr. Richard Kimball.
Oh, yes, it is.
A thoracic surgeon who is accused of murdering his wife and becomes a fugitive of the law and is pursued by the greatest marshal of all time, Tommy Lee Jones. So and I'll say this because the doctor in him has to solve the mystery of how have I been set up for murder? Because it becomes a medical dilemma. What is happening, and what is this medical problem that it caused me to be framed for murder, essentially, and seeking out the one-armed man. So based on the TV show, now Emily is reminding me that this is the wrong Harrison Ford doctor role. I should be choosing Dr. Indiana Jones, but Dr. Indiana Jones is a doctor of anthropology, not a
doctor.
He's still a doctor.
I suppose we should have been more clear about this. Are we talking PhD or are we talking MD? Yes. I have been approaching this from the whole medical doctor thing.
Yes. So next time,
he's a doctor.
We owe another
respect his title.
Okay. So maybe I should just go. My number 2 doctor is Harrison Ford.
Yes.
Period. Yes. Okay.
Harrison Ford playing any type of doctor.
So, however, Harrison Ford as Dr. Richard Kimball does have to use his MD knowledge and expertise to figure out who it was that framed him for murder. So he is my number 2 favorite on-screen doctor of all time. And if I was going with doctor of anthropology, Dr. Indiana Jones would be my number 1 of all time.
Yes.
Archaeology, sorry. There you go.
Archaeology.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
He's an archaeologist, not an anthropologist.
Yes. That's okay. Number 2 to you.
Number 2 to me. Yes, very good. Okay. I'm super curious about whether or not this one's on your list because I feel like it's going to be, but I feel like it might have gotten lost. So whatevs. I'm just going to go with Dr. Nicholas Garrigan as portrayed by James McAvoy in The Last King of Scotland. And I've only seen this movie 2 times. But I will tell you that James McAvoy in this movie, Forrest Whitaker would not have had an Oscar without James McAvoy in this space. He is so amazing. And he's in that space where he hasn't played, what is it? He hasn't been in any of the X-Men movies yet. And people still don't really know 1,000% who James McAvoy is, but we know that the man is sex and he's incredible in this film. Idi Amin, as portrayed by Forrest Whitaker, this is not a great guy, but you've got this doctor that's kind of here that's turning into his personal physician and standing by him. It's a hard movie to watch. But it is an exceptional character, and James McAvoy nails it, as he does most everything that he does, because, what can I say? The man is sex. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. James McAvoy is an incredible actor. The fact that he does not have an Oscar nomination is just sick and wrong. But this is a really great movie. There's fantastic acting across the board. And what can I say? He deserves to be on the top 5 list, so I put him there. Okay.
I am embarrassed. I am so embarrassed to say I have not seen that movie.
Well, that's okay, because now you can put it on your must-watch list.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. So I gotta go. I have to have 2 honorable mentions. So Emily has. So let's just start out. Emily has 1 honorable mention here. Okay. So Emily,
Okay, so my honorable mention is Dr. Horrible, portrayed by Neil Patrick Harris from Dr. Horrible Sing Along blog. And the reason I say that is because when I was a junior, my high school did a competitive one act where we performed Dr. Horrible Sing Along blog, and I played Dr. Horrible's sidekick named Moist.
Yeah.
Nate,
So
did you say moist?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
character's name was Moist.
Moist.
Yeah, they drenched me with water backstage, and I came out dripping with water. It was so fun.
Why was I not invited to that play?
I didn't get to see it
It
either.
was a competition.
Yeah.
We didn't have so many people watching it.
Nice.
So I have not seen this. That's why this is Emily's honorable mention, not mine. But I've listened to the music, and there's like 4 songs that I like straight up, like I love. I freaking love the music of it, but I have to see the movie. So yes.
So Neil Patrick Harris is Dr. Horrible.
Yes.
Dr. Horrible. Okay, but
Okay.
my mention, which I've mentioned in other films or in other podcasts before, my honorable mention is going to be Dr. Frankenfurter, played by Tim Curry from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, is he an actual MD? That's debatable, but he does create the most beautiful monster ever in his gold panties, and it is a absolute 100% sexy, sexy good time. So there we go. We got 2 honorable mentions from me and M, Dr. Horrible and Dr. Frankenfurter. There you
Fair enough.
You're welcome.
You cannot complain about anybody who refers to himself as the sweet transvestite, right? Yes. Okay.
Transylvania. Yes. Please go.
My honorable mention is a man who is not a good doctor at all. In fact, he is number 1 or 2 in the AFI list of greatest villains of all time. I am going with Thomas Harris's character known as Hannibal Lecter, as portrayed by Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
Brian Cox is fantastic, but Anthony Hopkins nailed this role. He won an Oscar. He rolled through it for 3 movies, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and then a remake of Red Dragon called Red Dragon. Brian Cox played Hannibal Lecter in Manhunter's version of Red Dragon. But come on, like, how can you not get all jacked up about Dr. Hannibal Lecter? Whether you see him as a complete and total animal or as somebody who raised the bar in terms of both Clarice Starling and Will Graham's ability to find killers and solve problems, right? So what is this look I'm getting from your daughter here? Like, that's your number 1, isn't it? Isn't it?
No, I'm just a big fan of Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, so I had him. So I had him on a different list because I didn't think of him as like Dr. MD. I thought of him as Dr. Psychiatrist, Psychologist, but
ew.
So,
but see, psychiatrists are medical doctors.
Yes, you are correct. So, okay, so I'm glad that you put him on here because I had him on another one, and now I'm glad that you put him on this one. So
my number 1 is a psychiatrist as well, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it because it is your turn to do your number 1.
It is my number 1. Okay, my 1 is actually, it's one of my absolute favorite movies. It's one of my 6 movies, and I think it's on another one of my top 5 lists. But I'm going with Nathan Fillion, Dr. Pottimer from the movie Waitress. I love Dr. Pottimer. Now, I don't love that he cheats on his wife with a pregnant woman who's in a bad marriage who doesn't want a baby that she's carrying. However, it is one of my greatest. I will watch that movie. If I'm sick, that's the first movie I'm going to watch. It is my rainy day movie, my sick day movie. But Nathan Fillion is so incredibly sympathetic, and he is actually a very, very good doctor, and he very much wants this, this woman to have a healthy pregnancy and take care of her, but he also kind of falls in love with her. And
wants her too, right?
I mean, they have a very, very ridiculous sexual appetite for each other. The beautiful is when that baby is born, this transformation of Miss Waitress, and the demise, or I'm not going to say demise, but Nathan Fillion, the doctor who she thought she was in love with until that baby was born, and then she fell in love with the baby, and that doctor didn't mean anything anymore.
Wow.
But so my number one, Nathan Fillion, the doctor, Dr. Pottimer. She never calls him by his first name, even though they're fucking each other all the time. He's always Dr. Pottimer from the movie.
Are you saying Pottimer, like P-O-T-T, or Palmer?
Pomatter, Dr. Pomatter. Yes, and that's Carrie playing
Tell it again.
I fucking love that movie. I'm sorry. I'm pulling out the F-bomb multiple times because I love it so much. And I haven't seen the musical. So
okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, I can't remember where I saw that the Sarah Bareilles Waitress musical is on one of the streaming platforms. I just don't remember which one.
Oh, I know, but I have to see it live first. And I don't want to listen until I see it in person.
Yeah, I sing the music at her.
I hate her.
I don't want
to hear or see a movie until I see it on stage first.
Oh, okay. Well, I will say we need to check in with Crystal Collins. Crystal, I don't know if you're listening to the show. She is the biggest Sarah Bareilles fan that I know, and she's been to 1,000 performances of this. So when it comes to KC, you let me know because I'm gonna be there.
Okay. Deal.
Okay.
All right.
So it's number one to me. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a psychiatric doctor, and probably the last person you would have thought would be on this list. I am going with Dr. Malcolm Crowe as portrayed by Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense.
Oh, you suck.
Oh my God. This movie is crazy. There's so much happening in this film, and we don't realize, I mean, unless you're super smart and you figured it out in the beginning, which,
nobody does.
More power to you, whatever. I didn't figure it out till the very, very end. I didn't figure out Fight Club till the very, very end. So I'm very good at suspending my disbelief. But Bruce Willis, I really felt like he should have been nominated for an Academy Award for this movie. This was M. Night Shyamalan's first film.
Yes.
It made a huge splash. And I think his portrayal is so understated and so minimalist. You forget, that he's there because everybody's so excited about Haley Joel Osment and Toni Collette, and they should be because those two are fantastic. But if you did not have Malcolm Crowe, if you didn't have Bruce Willis in this space, you wouldn't have had the performances that you got from the other actors. So it's so freaking weird to believe that he doesn't realize that he's the dead person. And I'm sorry, that was a major spoiler alert I just gave away. But it takes a while to weave yourself through that and realize that this is what happened. Donnie Wahlberg shot him in the gut and he died. And it's really sad. But the space that he finds himself in with this little kid, Cole, and Cole's relationships to his mom, like this changes everything about that mother and daughter relationship through Cole being able to see Dr. Malcolm Crowe as a dead person. I see dead people. And the ability that he has to help this kid while he's dead. Like it's bizarre, but it's beautiful and it's quite touching.
It's beyond that, because not only does he help Bruce Willis realize that he's dead so that he can move on, but also helps other tortured spirits deal with what they have to deal with so that they can move on, and his own mother so that she has a sense of closure, if you will.
Yes. And the scene and this has nothing to do with Malcolm Crowe, but the scene in the car with Haley
Yeah.
Joel Osment and
I-
Toni
I-
Collette.
Pull my eyes out every
I
time.
do too. I do too.
Oh my God.
And the freaky thing about this is not even my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film, but regardless, I thought Bruce Willis really, he turned it up to 11. Okay. It was amazing. And he was fantastic. And
100%. And it's amazing. So Malcolm Crowe, 100. He's a psychiatrist. He's a child psychologist. Yeah, I had him on a different list.
oh, okay. Well, that's fine too.
But that's okay because I can talk about him now. But so the other brilliant thing about the movie is the use of color, the film itself, but then also the subtle hints that you get, because he lays them down, and that's why when you watch it for the second time, you're like, oh my God, he told me there, he told me there, he showed me there, because nobody ever. Malcolm Crowe goes through the whole movie and nobody speaks to him except for Haley's character, which
yeah,
the kid's name in the movie. But yeah, but the scene in the car with the mom with, Toni Collette, she definitely deserved a supporting actress nom for that one because she she makes me bawl my eyes out because all she wants to do is
rip my heart out right here and you can have it.
Between him getting beat the fuck up by some ghost in a closet that some bullies threw him into, and oh God, yeah. So, but when she does her "Are you proud of me?" in the car, you just your heart melts, and what confirms for her that the mom said yes.
Mm-hmm.
that was brilliant filmmaking. So. Yeah. Brilliant. M. Night is a brilliant filmmaker. So I wholeheartedly support number one, Malcolm Crowe, for you.
Thank you very much. Wow, this has been quite something, Annie. Oh my God.
Quite cathartic.
I'm telling you what.
All right, so I will recap first.
That sounds fantastic. Go for it.
Had two honorable mentions. We did Dr. Frankenfurter, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Sorry, and then Dr. Horrible, played by Neil Patrick Harris. So those were
Dr. Horrible sing-along blog.
There you go. So that was honorable mention. Then 5-1, Dr. Frankenstein, Gene Wilder, Young Frankenstein, Dr. Herbert West from Reanimator, played by Jeffrey Combs, Dr. Hawkeye Pierce, played by Donald Sutherland from the movie MASH, Dr. Richard Kimball, played by Harrison Ford from The Fugitive, and number one, God bless him, sweetheart, heart of gold, Dr. Pomander, played by Nathan Fillion from Waitress.
Well, all right. My honorable mention is Dr. Hannibal Lecter as portrayed by Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and Red Dragon. Love you, Brian Cox, but no. My number 5 is Doctors Elliot and Beverly Mantle as portrayed by Jeremy Irons in Dead Ringers. Dr. Don Francis as portrayed by Matthew Modine and the band Played On. Dr. Bones McCoy, and I will take both of them in the Star Trek series. Nicholas Garrigan as portrayed by the super fantastically hot James McAvoy in Last King of Scotland. And my number 1 is Dr. Malcolm Crowe as portrayed by the amazing Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense.
Beautiful. I love it.
Oh my God. This is going to be an epic series because I have 1,000 ideas of where we need to go with this.
I love it. I love it.
Love indeed. Okay. So in that vein, my friends, we are going to say goodnight. Good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
And thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Top 5 podcast. We appreciate your downloading this episode or watching us on YouTube so much. And we would love it if you would maybe possibly think about leaving us a rating and review, because that helps us reach more people to talk about more fucking cool pop culture shit, because that is what Annie and I live for. And if you don't, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you because you've downloaded the show and you're listening. So anyway, for Annie and the amazing Emily, I'm Kris McPeak, and thank you, as always, for downloading this week's episode. We will catch up with you next week.
Bye.
Bye.